Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of the Tapping Out podcast. My name is Chris, and on today's show, I am joined by Ricky Halestorm. He is a retired independent professional wrestler who wrestled all around Humberside and Yorkshire during his tenure. Enough talk, let's get right into it. All right, Ricky Halestorm, thanks very much for joining the podcast today. How are you, my friend?
I'm good, mate. I'm good in health. Good to see you as well.
Yeah, good to see you, man. It's been great to reconnect already. We were chatting just a little bit before, and yeah, we're ready to go, yeah?
Yes, mate.
Yeah, good stuff, man. So, how have the last 12 months been for yourself?
It's been a strange one, hasn't it? Obviously, everyone come out of COVID and we can do things that we normally do, which is pretty much nothing for most people.
Yeah.
It's one of them things where, like in the UK, you had them almost 2 years of a window to do something, and unfortunately, I didn't do anything in them 2 years. Some people can learn a foreign language or learn a new skill. I just got really good at playing on Fortnite.
Fortnite? You've been into Fortnite? Yeah. Okay, all right.
Yeah, and then when the gym started to open, I slowly got back into that, just as a well-being thing, just to keep healthy, healthy body, healthy mind, and all that stuff.
Well, over here at the moment in Asia, now that we're in the latest spell of it, all the gyms are closed, so all of the Asian TikTokers who are very famous for their workout routines are starting to get famous.
Around here where I live, there was a lot of people walking dogs. I think most people's dogs around here are probably the fittest animals ever. 4 times a day they was walking the dogs. For animals.
Nice one, man. Yeah, good stuff. Okay, buddy. So just a couple of icebreakers. Cool. Yeah, this is something that I like to do with the majority of my guests. But the listeners today may be surprised, well, probably not surprised, to know that we've known each other for now, I would say, over 10 years at this point.
Yeah, easily over 10.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. And it's really great to connect. But there's a few things that I think we could learn from each other. So I'm going to ask you a few icebreakers, okay? All right.
Yep.
All right, buddy. So, Ricky Halestorm, right now, what's the scariest thing you've ever done just for fun?
In wrestling or just in life?
In life, yeah. Right now, just in life, yeah.
Scariest thing.
We'll get into the one about wrestling later on.
There's two. Scariest thing I've done for fun was probably the stupidest thing I've done as well was tested how fireproof a set of trousers were at a bonfire party. There was a lot of alcohol involved, and someone.
Wait, I think I was there. Oh, yeah, okay. Maybe I was there. Oh, yeah, okay, right. Anyway, carry on.
Yeah, someone said something was mentioned about the trousers I was wearing. That there was like fire retardant. Quite a few beers later, I decided to stand in the bonfire to see.
Sorry.
So the trousers were quite fire retardant, but my trainers and the rest of my body wasn't. So yeah, that was quite scary.
Wait, what brand of trainers were you wearing?
Just regular like Adidas trainers, I think, or Nikes. They're melted.
Yeah, that's not yet.
It was insane.
And that's not what they're designed for, right? They're not designed to protect against fire. Yeah.
That was pretty stupid. It was scary because when you think about it, when you're sober, you're like, if I'd have tripped over, I'd have been crispy fried. Yeah, it wasn't a good thing.
Crispy fried, yeah, and usually that's a good thing. Huh? If you order McDonald's or Burger King, it's a good thing.
Yeah, it's kind of scary. Yeah.
All right, man. Good stuff. Okay. All right. Second one. Ooh, right. What is in the boot of your car right now?
Right now, nothing. It's empty now. So just, funnily enough, I went to the dump this morning and got rid of all the rubbish.
There you go.
So you got me on a good day.
You're a good man. You're an environmentalist. Yeah.
Yeah.
Brian Danielson would be proud to know you. If he's listening today, hey, one day, maybe he would be. Yeah. Good stuff. Absolutely nothing. Fantastic. All right, nice one. And last one. If you could time travel, Rich, what would you change and why?
I'm not going to say world peace because that's everyone's thing, isn't it? I would probably go back. For me personally, I'd go back and make a few different life choices. And I'd also go to the bookies on the season that Leicester City won the Premier League and put 10 grand bet on that bad boy. I'd be a millionaire by now.
That's definitely a unique answer. Yeah, I think I've done that. Well, I think I've done that question twice. Yeah, not many people are going to say that. Yeah, good stuff, man. Anything else? Wait, so what about anything wrestling related for that one?
I'd probably, to be honest, I'd have gone back in the time when I was deciding to leave wrestling. Because for me at that point, as an in-ring wrestler, I felt I wasn't progressing, but I was also getting a lot of bookings as a referee. And if I could go back in time, I'd have probably told myself to put my ego away and try to go not down the route of the referee. Because I actually found refereeing quite interesting and quite enjoyable. And I was getting more bookings as a referee than as an actual wrestler.
I remember I also during my time at NGW, I also tried to be a wrestler too, and it was tough, man. And I think I actually learned so much, and I learned just how much it takes. I think for the refereeing job, everyone kind of sees it as being quite a simple thing. It wasn't. it definitely wasn't. Yeah.
I think referees are like the unsung heroes in a wrestling match, in a wrestling show.
Sure.
And they're so important to a match as well. So anyone who wanted to get into wrestling as an in-ring wrestler should also try out being a referee in an actual match. There's so much you learn just being a referee in the ring. Yeah.
Absolutely, man. All right, good stuff. So that's the icebreakers out of the way. So we've been chatting about, the last 12 months. So, and you were telling me, obviously, and I already know that you've taken a step back from pro wrestling. Totally, I would say for a long time. So are you still involved with the product now in some way? Do you kind of still follow NGW or any of the other wrestling products?
At a distance, although I don't really follow it religiously like I used to. I think it's because I'm not in that environment anymore. I used sort of I wouldn't say I lose interest, but there's other things that are going on in your life that take priority. But yeah, if anyone on Facebook posts up a wrestling match, I always sit and watch it and follow a few links, and then 3 or 4 hours later, I'm watching some bizarre match that I've never even heard of.
Right.
Yeah, I know a few of the guys from NGW I still follow and like to see their match results.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, around where I live now, there's no wrestling promotions around here.
Okay.
So it's the distance to get to one to watch a live one is obviously a big factor as well.
Sure. It's interesting, you're talking about that, and my parents live in North Wales, and they live in Colwyn Bay, and my dad took a picture of a wrestling poster and sent it to me, and I think it was the Colwyn. I think they called it the Colwyn Bay Bash. Nice, right? The Colwyn Bay Bash, yeah. And and my dad was like, "Chris, do you recognize anyone on this poster?" And I said, "Nope." And then even when I'm here in China, I tried to find them online, and I couldn't even find the website. And then my dad said it was on Facebook, which I assume is where you find most of your wrestling content right nowadays, and you find it on social media,
yeah. Yeah, a lot of it is say if there's a guy on Facebook who's a wrestler, he'll post up a match or a result, and you can literally just search through their own videos, or you just look on. Some people put things on YouTube. Every now and then it's good to I just find it's nice to watch some of the older stuff.
Yeah.
Like an old match and a current match.
Yeah.
Yes.
For sure. Like the older matches for the UK guys, or just for like international? Just both, yeah.
A bit of both, yeah. Obviously, it's getting harder and harder to find it. But some of the old stuff, like pre-WWE stuff, I had a friend. We both know the guy Dougie.
Yeah.
He had the most amazing collection of wrestling tapes, wrestling DVDs, and every now and then he used to just chuck me a handful and sit and watch, like, I wouldn't say, well, they were old matches, but pre-WWE matches, pre-WWF. Sorry, like Ric Flair, Dusty Rhodes, that type of era. And it's just interesting to watch the old school wrestling and how much of that is still around today.
Yeah. Especially in the UK, right? Especially in the UK, I think the newer guys that are coming through the scene, and I was talking to Nathan Cruz, and he said there's so much potential with the younger people coming through, but I feel like they still retain the style from back in the day.
Yeah, I think British wrestlers, if you say you're a wrestler from Britain, I think people have this idea in their head what a British wrestler looks like. The old guys with the boots and there's the trunks on, no knee pads, and just grappling each other. And I think young guys getting into wrestling and people that wrestle at the minute, that's always a good foundation to have, that grappling skill, or people call it chain wrestling.
Yeah.
Just the ability to actual wrestle each other before you start throwing each other around the ring and jumping off top ropes and
stuff. Yeah, that stuff comes later. You need to build up to it, right? Yeah. Definitely. Like, I remember, I was talking to some other people from America, some of my other guests, and when I told them that I did the wrestling training, different reactions, and and even one guy who I interviewed, and he was like, you took what? And when I said that I took a powerbomb bump, it was one of my first major bumps, and he was like, what? You started off with the powerbomb. Yeah,
Might as well aim high. There's no else you can go from there, is there?
Right. Yeah, and of course, like, we were just talking about the young talent, and nowadays, do you keep up with NXT UK?
Yeah, I haven't got. Sorry, I watch WWE Network. When I get a chance. I don't watch it as much as I want to, but what I find I watch more of is the documentaries.
Right. Just on the WWE channel. Yeah.
I like to be. My nephew will say, "Oh, did you watch this match?" I'm like, yeah, I'll watch it tonight, and then I'll end up watching like the interviews that Stone Cold does with his guests, and I'll be like,
broken skull.
I still don't actually watch.
Yeah.
I'll watch the documentaries, and I'm like, man, I've just watched documentaries for 4 hours and not watched the actual match.
Yeah.
But yeah, I try and get to watch it. But I've not watched it a few weeks now, so I'm not up on what's going on in the NXT UK scene.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
Is there anyone that's coming through right now then that you would think, from people you've seen on Facebook, is there anyone coming through that you're like, hey, these guys have got potential?
His ability to train people really well. There's a tag team, two guys that he's helped train, Reese and Rogan.
Nathan Cruz, Nathan was talking about them as well. Yeah, they've been name dropped a few times now on this podcast.
Hey guys, honestly, I've seen some of their stuff, and they have that. First thing is, when you look at them, they actually look like a tag team. It's not two guys that are trying to match each other's styles. These two guys actually look the same, move the same. They've got that stocky, heavy gritty British look about them. And I think I'd just left NGW when they were just breaking into it.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you see some of their stuff, their in-ring stuff it looks really brutal. You know, it's none of this high-flying stuff.
Yeah.
They're just getting there and just mash people up, and I do like watching them.
They kind of remind me this recent Rogan. I've seen pictures of them recently after looking at the NGW on Twitter and whatnot, or like some of the NGW guys on Twitter, and I've seen them on the posters, and they seem to be almost like a bear country. I don't know how familiar you are with AEW at the moment, but you know, bear country, that kind of, like you say, that kind of stocky, just rugged, go for it style, you know? Yeah.
So I remember seeing one match. I think one of the guys grabbed somebody in the set, German suplex, and as he was flipping him over, the other guy ran in with a clothesline, and in half. It looked like they killed the guy. I was like, that looks amazing.
like proper JBL style, yeah, proper Bradshaw, just the lariat from hell.
Yeah, into a German suplex. Yeah, they look good. There's a guy that I've seen a few times online. I'm going to pronounce his name wrong now. I'm going to be like blackballed forever. A guy called I think he's called Miles. Again, another one of the Nathan Cruz's guys.
Okay. Another one. Yeah, because Cruz was telling me, he wrestles at a different academy nowadays, and the name escapes me at the moment. But yeah, he said he's seen a lot of talent come through nowadays too.
Yeah,
at his new place.
That new place looks good.
I
think a lot of guys, when you want to wrestle when you're at that young age and you're just ready to learn, it helps having a good teacher. And if you want to learn and the person's willing to teach you, you know, the sky's the limit, to be honest. For young guys, everybody who was training wanted to get onto that main roster.
For sure,
everybody helped each other. Yeah, everybody helped each other. Sorry. So I think that's still think that's around now. I don't think COVID really killed off the desire for people to wrestle.
No, it didn't. No, if anything, I think it probably just bolstered it, right? It probably just made people want to do it more.
Yeah. I'm obviously like promotions would have took a hit, and venues, would have missed out. But I think the people that are training, getting ready to get on shows, and the shows that are coming out now, I think the quality that's out there is just head and shoulders above what it was maybe 10 years ago.
Yes. Completely agree. Yeah, completely agree. And we've even got some like UK talent in AEW nowadays. I don't know how familiar you are with it, but we got Anthony Ogogo, who was Anthony Ogogo, who was a medalist at the London 2012 Games, I believe, and now he's in AEW, absolutely killing it. And and I was speaking to another guy who I'm going to drop, and he's a Florida independent wrestler now, but he grew up in Manchester, which is where I was from, and a guy called Miles Blackwell, and he wrestles now in Florida. He grew up in Manchester and then moved over to the States with his family at a very young age. And so I'm talking to him, and he's on my first podcast. For people listening, you can go back, and like he sounds to me like a Brit, but he's just a Brit who's just completely immersed in the American culture. And he started wrestling. Yeah, he started wrestling in his 30s, and he still loves it. And he's almost like a locker room leader, And I guess by trade he's a Brit, So yeah, it's cool to see.
Yeah. Did he train in the UK, or did he start in the US?
No, he definitely started in the US. He moved to the States when he was very, very young. Yeah. So yeah. All right, man. But okay, so that's enough. That's enough about all those people. Let's get into yourself. Let's get into the nitty gritty. Yeah. Let's go back to the past, shall we? So I want to find out more, man. I don't think we've ever chatted about this, man. As I said, we've known each other for 10 years, but usually it's just a lot of drinks, a lot of banter, but honestly, we've probably not had too many heart-to-hearts. But so now's the time. So yeah, how did it all kick off for yourself with pro wrestling? Was there a moment that made you go, "This is what I want to do"?
Oh yeah, 100%. So it was I started wrestling. Well, I started to train to be a wrestler later on in life. It was actually I was 29 years old.
Mm-hmm.
My best friend, a guy called Gary Jennison, who's a comedian now.
Yeah.
He said, for a laugh, we should have a wrestling match for our 30th birthday. Now, I've always been a fan of wrestling since being a kid, always watching it. You know,
Yeah.
WWF, the Hulk Hogan, the Macho Man, Pat Roaches and Big Daddies and all that. But to me, to actually get in a ring, I had this conception that, like, you just can't get into a ring and throw each other around for a laugh. You know, I had this image that there's going to be like all these 6'10" massive guys who are just going to beat you up if you get anywhere near a ring. So I was a bit cautious and like, yeah, I don't want to do it, you know. And then he found New Generation Wrestling online. I sent them an email. I think it was Luke Ingemels who replied.
Yeah, there's a name drop. Yeah, there's a name drop. Yeah.
It was an email, just real polite email back. And I thought, yeah, these guys look approachable. And this is how old I was. They had a MySpace account back then. So it's like,
the good old days. Yeah.
So I look on MySpace, and it looked quite good. So I went to the training session, and the idea was me and Gary were just going to train for a year until we hit our 30th and have a mess about, just a fun wrestling match between each other. But I got the bug very quickly. I think on the first session, I was like, this is amazing. Obviously, it doesn't look nothing like what you see on the TV, you know, in a community centre gym with a battered old ring. But it didn't matter, you know. Learning to do bumps and rolls and stuff. It was just amazing. I got hooked straight away.
Yeah, and I can remember those first sessions, like you say, with and Nathan was teaching me, and he would have me doing the flip bumps off the stage, and it was like, oh, this is wrestling, right? You know, to try and simulate those bumps, those big bumps off the top ropes. Yeah, and it was good, man. It was a great time. So you say you caught the bug pretty quick, yeah, and then
yeah. Pretty much, I think in the first session, it was like, yeah, I'm going to enjoy doing this.
Yeah, and then where did it go from there? So you carried on, yeah, and you started to meet loads of people, and including myself and stuff, and then you just went from there, yeah.
Yeah, I was I was a bit naive to the world of like the wider world of independent wrestling in the UK.
Yeah,
and I wasn't really too fussed about wrestling in other towns. I just wanted to get in a ring and actually have a match, and you know, in front of a live crowd. So if you do weeks and months of training, and it's only when the promoters and trainers say, right, you're ready to go in front of a live crowd, because they've got to look after their product. You can't put on a show with guys that are dangerous. Guys that are too green, because it's too dangerous, and it ruins the show and ruins the product.
Yeah.
So when they think you're ready, they put you in. So my friend decided it wasn't for him, and he stopped coming to the training. But obviously by then I'd made a lot of friends, a lot of new friends, including yourself. And I just really enjoyed every time you turn up, you're learning something that you've never done before, that you've seen on TV. You know, as a kid, you've seen a body slam and a suplex and you know, an arm lock, and you're like, I've just learned to do that.
Yeah.
And it just went from there. Just carried on training in Hull, and it was just my goal. I didn't really have a goal, but I just wanted to get in a ring in front of a crowd. And then with the trainers that you had in NGW back then, you had people like Sam Bailey, Sticks, obviously Nathan Cruz, Matt Myers, Colossus Kennedy helped out a lot in the early days when I first started.
Plenty of name drops there. Plenty of name drops. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was just you just start to like mold yourself into like the gimmick, the character you want to be.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I think this is where the direction I'm going to go. And then, honestly, that feeling of being in front of a live crowd. And to me, it didn't matter. It didn't matter about winning your match or losing it. It was just putting on the show, putting on the the entertainment.
That's the thing. There you go. You just said it. Yeah. And that's what I'm hoping to hear from most of my guests, is that kind of, like you say, it's not winning or losing with pro wrestling. It's the show, right? It's all about the show.
Yeah. You could be one of these guys that's, I don't know, like me, 5'9", quite skinny, and you're not going to win every single match because there's always going to be a bigger guy.
Yeah.
And I always remember one match I had to go against a guy called, I think his in-ring name was Lothian, this giant guy from Newcastle.
I remember that guy. Yeah, Lothian. Yeah.
He just destroyed me. I think he destroyed me in about 2 minutes. And the only reason it lasted 2 minutes is because he said, I'll no, I think it was a 5-minute match, but I only remember about 2 minutes of it because I got concussion quite early on.
I'm sorry, I just started laughing now then. Yeah, but okay. Okay.
Yeah, but for me, it was like, okay, you're on the show this weekend. I'm like, cool, I'm on the show. Who am I up against? And said, this guy called Lothian. It's like, all right, he's an out-of-town guy.
Yeah.
I looked on the line at his stuff. I thought, well, he's quite big.
Yeah.
And he had one of his moveset was just the boot to the face.
Yeah.
And I knew what my job was to put him over because he was coming in new. And he had to, I was a squash match.
Yeah.
So I thought, it didn't matter that I was winning or losing. It just mattered that I was I'm taking part in something here. And
right.
I remember speaking to him backstage and said, when you stick up your big boot, I'm just going to go for it. I'm going to run and 100% commit my face to your boot. Because I wanted him to look real.
Right.
I don't want to break kayfabe and put my hand up like and have 3 feet of air between his foot and my face. But when I hit the ropes and come running straight at him and he stuck that boot up, it nearly ripped my head off. But I enjoyed it in a strange way.
When you woke up in hospital with your concussion, yeah, you kind of enjoyed it.
Yeah. Well, just little things like that. You get to have matches against guys you've never met before, and it didn't. And to me, it wasn't an ego thing of winning or losing. It was just entertaining. And I knew in that match, there was no way Ricky Halestorm was going to beat a guy that was 7 foot.
Yeah,
let someone bigger. Yeah.
So before we talk a little bit more about yourself and your gimmick as Ricky Halestorm, let's go back a little bit further. And by a little bit further, I mean let's go back to the very beginning. Yeah, what was your earliest memory of pro wrestling as a fan?
Oh, it was I'm going to show my age now. It was back when British wrestling was still on TV.
Yeah.
And it was a match. I can't remember the opponent. It was Giant Haystack just destroyed someone, and I'm like, wow. And then a week later, I was watching another match, and a guy called Pat Roach was in the ring. I can't remember I can never remember the opponent, but I just remember he was in the ring, and then there was that. Kendo Nagasaki.
Yeah. I remember watching his limo. I remember watching his limo. I was hoping you were going to say that.
Yeah, I met him as well on that same show when what we were talking about. Yeah.
Nice guy, man. Nice guy.
Yeah. But it was there. My first memories was the old British wrestling. And then
yeah.
Oh man, I'm
the world of sport days, right? Yeah. In fact, yeah.
It was the old trunks and boots with no knee pads type of wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
And then I remember a few years later when WWE came on TV, and that was insane. You still had the wrestling aspect, but it was so much colour and character, and I was
just high production, high production values. Yeah, even at that time.
Yeah, I think that's what killed off the UK wrestlings on the TV when you've got that to compete against.
Yeah.
but as a kid, as a fan, you didn't care. I still could watch British wrestling every now and then you'd watch WWF.
Yeah.
That's where sort of Hulkamaniacs and Macho Man and Undertaker, all them ones.
Yeah.
That's what pulled me.
Yeah, I remember for me it was like I'd go out and about with my parents during the weekend, and then on Sunday nights, my dad would want to watch the football, right? The Premier League soccer football. Yeah, you want to watch the football highlights. And then I would go up to my bedroom and watch Sunday Night Heat.
Oh yes. Wow.
Yeah. Sunday Night Heat, man. It was a great time. But I also remember for me personally, my earliest memory wasn't the British wrestling stuff. It was it was Triple H versus, I want to say, was it Cactus Jack? I think it was Cactus Jack at Royal Rumble. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And I was watching it at and I was watching it at 2 a.m. in the morning, no holds barred, no DQ. And I'm like, wow, what is this? And then, of course, I started playing all the video games, and then it just grew and grew and grew, yeah. Crazy. Crazy. Is there any moments for you as a fan during that time? Did you ever get to meet any of your, let's say, heroes during that time, those first few years of being a fan? Anything that stands out?
Not really, no, because back then it was I think kayfabe was a very strong thing, so you didn't have the internet, you didn't know these guys' real names, you didn't know. The only time you'd see them was at a show. I think I remember I had one where we went to this, it looked like a circus tent, but there was a wrestling ring inside. But I couldn't remember any of the names of the guys. It was just all massive. when you're a kid looking at these guys that are 6 foot plus, you're like, Jesus. Yeah, they're just, that was when I met actual wrestlers, but I couldn't put a name to it so long ago. And as for meeting the, and obviously nowadays you can do meet and greets. Obviously, I didn't know any of that existed back then.
Sure.
Yeah.
And
So you go on.
Yeah, I was gonna say. So, what was your first WWE live event? Do you remember it? Maybe.
Live event. I was thinking about this the other day, and I think it was It was the Oh no, I'm gonna trip up here. It was the match where Undertaker beat Hulk Hogan to win the belt, and Ric Flair had interfered in the match by sliding the chair underneath Hogan as he took the tombstone. I don't know if that was a pay-per-view or if it was just I remember that match really well, because at school everybody was like, Hogan's the best, he's like, you can't beat him, and this Undertaker was beating people all over. And you had that childhood thing where you're thinking, Hulk Hogan can't be beat, he's the man, and then this Undertaker comes and beats him. You're like, well, who is this guy?
And you had no idea that he would go on to have one of the best careers ever, right? But then it was just this big guy, and it's like, how can he beat everyone's hearing? And I think the Battle Royal where British Bulldog won, that was one of the early ones I watched as well. That was, when you watch it now, you're thinking, of course he's going to win it. It's held in Britain, but when you're a kid and you're watching it, you're like, oh yes, he's won. So how many hours a week would you say you were watching wrestling at that time? When in those first few years, when you were just a fan before you had the idea to start training?
Quite regular, actually. Whenever it was aired on TV, probably the day it was on or the day after. And then obviously when we got Sky TV, you could watch it whenever you wanted. So I just watched
Sky TV was I never had Sky TV in my house actually as a kid. All my friends around had it. I never did. So I had to settle with the Sunday Night Heat. I think was on ITV. I believe. Yeah.
I try and watch it as much as I could. Obviously, but we had one TV in the house, so it was like I had to literally wrestle, no pun intended, to watch what I wanted to watch.
Wrestling, fighting over the TV remote, yeah. The hailstorms fighting over the remote, yeah. People are getting body slammed left, right, and centre. I can imagine.
I choke slam my sister to get the
remote. Oh, nice one. All right, man. Okay, so let's move back. Yeah, let's move back to yourself, yeah. So when you were having those first matches, in your, and you only ever had the one gimmick, right? As far as I remember, it was just you were always just Ricky Halestorm, yeah, which is cool.
Yeah,
so you stay loyal to it, yeah. You stay loyal to that character.
Yeah, I did want to because I'd not been wrestling long enough. Like, you know, when you look at people like Nathan Cruz, his gimmick, his character has changed slightly over the years. When you look at him now,
it's kind of evolved. Yeah,
and like people like Matt Myers and like Dara Diablo, their characters evolved, but I didn't feel I was wrestling long enough to evolve.
Right.
Some of the new guys had evolved their character within like 3 weeks. Like, dude, no one's seen you. At least get
3 weeks. I mean, come on, yeah. At least 6 months.
Like you've had 2 matches and you've changed your name already. Yeah, it was. I just stayed. What it was, the idea. I originally wanted to be a heel, but realized I really sucked at being a heel.
Right.
And then I remember watching the NGW show, and then there was the tag team, the Avian and Danny V.
Avian and Danny V, yeah.
And I was like, the energy and the jumping around they did, I was like, that looks quite cool.
Yeah.
I couldn't do quite as much jumping as they did, but I wanted to be that high energy. There was a tag team, and if I could do that as a singles wrestler, and I just chose the Hailstorm. It's just one of them names one night where I just sat on the computer doing random wrestling generator.
Yeah.
And then I was just picking words, and eventually it just clicked. Like, oh, Ricky Halestorm. I was like, yeah, I'll go with that, and then fit that into the gimmick of this high energy base.
Yeah. So that so you were looking for that high energy, high flying style, yeah. So when you were first starting out with that gimmick and that character, who were you looking to for inspiration? You know, so now that you're the pro wrestler, now that you're in front of the crowds, now all of a sudden you're watching wrestling through different eyes. This is what I always do. This is what I love to hear from my guests on the show so far. So you're hearing it, you're seeing it from different eyes, through different eyes. So who are you looking to for inspiration at that point?
There's quite a few WWF, WWE wrestlers that I'd look at, and try and pick aspects. It was so the Ultimate Warrior was like the impact in my head I wanted to have, but I was never that impacted.
Right.
But that was the and then you mix that with say Edge and Eddie Guerrero, because I knew I wasn't a big heavy guy, so I couldn't be throwing guys around the ring. So I stopped trying to look at people like John Cena and Hulk Hogan and all these main event huge guys. I was like, realistically, I'm not that big. I'm not going to be able to throw people around. So you start looking down the card at, I say smaller guys, they're still huge compared to me, but people like Eddie Guerrero, Edge and Christian, people like that. Look at the way they move and how they act in the ring. It's like trying to sort of match your body shape and size to them, and then see what you can and can't do compared to them.
Yeah, just see what works. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of trial and error in the early days.
Yeah, of course. With anything, right? I mean, you know, like they say, practice makes perfect. I mean, for wrestling, it's no different, you know?
Yeah, true, yeah.
Yeah, so what kind of moves did you gravitate towards? What kind of style did you adopt? I mean, I know, but you know, our listeners don't know. So what kind of style did you like to go for the most?
Well, what I tried to do, I don't know if it was what worked. So I sort of build my character, my in-ring stuff up on like firing up.
Right.
So you come into the ring, you know, all this energy. The heel cuts you down and beats you down quite quickly, and then sort of like you spend the rest of the match trying to get that fire up on them. That was the style I was trying to get, as if it was like, I was a wrestler, but I was still new, so I wouldn't get in the ring and just start like kicking butt and taking names straight on the off. And it's sort of, I think doing it like that as well, I think I gave the crowd, the fans, something to like I didn't feel I was physically strong enough to come in the ring and throw someone all over the place.
Okay.
It just gets a bit. So I used to let the heels do a lot of stuff, and then
Yeah.
I'd just try and work into that.
Yeah.
The moves I tried to do. This is going back to Dougie and all his videotapes. I used to watch.
I was gonna say I want to try and get Dougie on sometime. I hope maybe I might send a message. So if Dougie, if you're listening to this after this when it gets promoted, yeah, buddy.
Yeah, I used to watch a lot of his old the old tapes and try and. I think it was either Matt Myers or Nathan or Lee. Someone said to me, "Don't try doing something that's popular because everyone does it." You know,
right.
If you do a rock bottom, it's a rock bottom. No matter who you are, it's the Rock's move. You know.
Sure.
You do an attitude. You stick someone on your shoulders, and people are going to straight away think F5 or attitude adjustment. So I used to try and stay away from the obvious things. I used to watch some of the older stuff, and try and throw in 2 or 3 things I've seen then, which you think no one's using now.
Okay. Yeah.
And then as for moves wise, I kept a lot of it as simple, just for myself, because I got myself in that comfort zone where
you wanted to stay safe and right.
I really dreaded the thought of hurting another guy in the ring.
Sure.
I used to do this strange hip toss where as the guy's going over, I sort of jumped with them and sort of did sort of like a split. It's a little bit like R-Truth, but not as fancy.
I think I remember that. I think I remember you doing that. Yeah. Yeah.
It just came about as I just sort of fell down with the guy and I was like, oh, that actually looks semi-cool, so I'll keep doing that.
Yeah, good stuff, man. And how about your finisher then?
I remember. It was called Storm Time. So it was. I think the actual real move is called Mark of Excellence.
Okay.
It's sort of a cross between. It's where you pick the guy up. So you stand behind the guy, pick them up, so their lower back is on your shoulder, and rather than just dropping backwards with them, you sort of pivot round and almost like rock bottom them on the way down.
Yeah.
Hang on 1 second.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, so it was because again, like, you know, there's no point a guy who's like under 6 foot attempts to do a rock bottom because it's not your move, it's someone else's.
Yeah.
But the Mark of Excellence, so to me, it made sense where I'd actually, if I was in the ring against a guy similar size or heavier, the lift would look genuine. Like I'd actually have to use my shoulders and both my arms to lift them up on my shoulder. Then once they're in upright position, you can just pivot around and drop them.
Yeah.
And I also did that. I also came up with that idea because then it was one of them finishing moves that was easily reversible.
Mm-hmm.
So like we used to do training sessions where everybody tried getting all their signature moves in on each other, and you just try and figure ways to reverse it.
Yeah.
So for me as well, because I wasn't physically.
Oh yeah, like you're at Rock versus Cena 1, yeah, just constantly reversing the finishes.
My finisher, because I wasn't like, there was a lot of bigger guys than me. If I ever tried to go for the finisher on someone heavier than me, I could sell it as if I couldn't lift them.
Yeah.
So, rather than just going straight into it. But it just came down to trying something that nobody's watching on TV, something a little bit different.
Sure. Come on. That's a good way to look at it, yeah.
And I always figure it, I don't know about guys nowadays, but I always think a finishing move should be something you could hit from any angle at any point. Yeah. That doesn't require a very long setup.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
what nice one. Yeah, nice one, man. And I was thinking about asking this kind of question for a while, so I'm just going to start doing it now. So obviously, my podcast is called the Tapping Out Podcast. So, is there any specific submission moves that you gravitated towards during your time as a pro wrestler? Any specific like submissions that you enjoyed just pulling off for whatever reason?
I never really got a chance to do it much, but the figure four leg lock was a good.
Right. Yeah. And would you kind of get the people, maybe you get the fans going, woo, you know, like Ric Flair, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And once you start to set someone up in that, fans that know wrestling know what's coming next.
Sure.
I think other submission moves. I think I know this is a real basic one, but the Boston Crab.
Classic. Yeah.
Again, I think it went back to the training. I didn't like doing the holds that were like lying down too much, because obviously then the crowd can't see you. So things like the Boston Crab is you stood upright, but you're still putting the other guy in the, and I thought that was a good visual.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wasn't really much. I didn't win any matches from submission, so I used to just try and steer. If I could get one in there, I'd try one in. For me, it was the Boston Crab and the figure four leg lock, which were the two I liked.
Nice one, man. Good. That's some good answers. Yeah. Okay. And how about interactions with the fans? Do you have any moments that stand out? You know, either from your time at NGW, you know, whether that was in Hull or around Humberside, you know, in Yorkshire, or maybe any other wrestling company that you may have worked for. Is there any interactions with the fans that really stood out to you?
Yeah, there was one. So it was when NGW first performed in a town called Pontefract in West Yorkshire.
Okay, yeah,
and
I know it.
It was my first match on the main roster. So I'd gone from the Proving Ground roster and I was on the main roster.
Yeah.
And the first match of the night, which is always a tricky one against new crowd.
Sure, yeah. You want to perform, yeah.
I was like, okay, first match of the night, you've got to like get the crowd involved. And then thankfully my opponent was Kaz Crash, who was an amazing heel.
Okay, yeah.
And so he comes out, does his entrance, and you could hear straight away the crowd were up for this show. So he'd pretty much done all the work for me, which I think is a good heel. He'd got the crowd to the point where no matter who came out of the curtain, they was going to cheer for him.
Yeah.
So I came into the ring, and the crowd, none of them. It wasn't. The thing about that show was it wasn't the home crowd. It wasn't Hull. It wasn't a venue we'd done before. It's all new fans. And I was like, these people are just absolutely insane for me. Like, I'm not even the main deal here. You know, the main event, the guys are way better than you guys.
Yeah.
The crowd and the kids were just going nuts. And then Kaz did a bit more heel work, riling the crowd up. Not that he needed to. And then the best point for me in that match was I'd taken a bump off him and I'd rolled over to the side of the apron. I just looked across the crowd. And there must have been about 20 kids just begging me to stand up. And I'm like, they don't even know me. This is amazing.
It's the best feeling ever. You want to be a wrestler forever, right? Yeah, at that moment, you're like, yeah, I don't want it to end. Yeah,
I was on the end of a beating, but the crowd was just like, they wanted you to get up. They like were sort of like urging you to get up. And you could just see all these kids just like shouting, Halestorm, get up. I'm like, oh man, this is amazing. It was just that moment there when I was like, I realized wrestling in front of a crowd that don't know you is a better payoff than a crowd that does know you.
Right.
For me, it was anyway.
Okay. Yeah. Good stuff, man. Yeah. And was the so you talked about those kids, the 20 kids just screaming for you to get up. And was that the loudest sound you could hear at that point? You know, you're on the floor and all you could hear was just that, you know.
I could hear Kaz and the referee behind me. I knew what was coming next. You just sort of like lose yourself in it for like a split second, like just to stay down for a little bit longer, just to, you know, so when you do get up and fire up, you're paying the crowd off a bit more. But yeah, it was just that match in its entirety, because it was the first match that town had seen of NGW.
Yeah,
and it's like, if we go out there and we suck, we're going to it's going to be a lot harder for the rest of the show.
And that's it, yeah, for like any future shows, yeah. So you have to make a good impression. Yeah. I think you know what? I think I was there, but still, it's great to hear it from, like, you know, obviously me just watching as almost like a fan or just a part of the ring crew if I was there. But but to hear your side of it and to really get that, like, your point of view is really cool too. And that's why that's why I love this platform. Yeah, is to hear those stories, whether I was there or not. And yeah, it's crazy, man. So then we kind of start to wind down. Yeah. Oh no,
Yeah.
this is where it's going to get a bit emotional. So when when did you kind of decide? This is kind of going from the past back into the present again. So yeah, you kind of like you started to. So what was the reason for that? And this is new territory for me. I've never really talked to a pro wrestler yet who's been through what you've been through. So yeah, this is interesting now. Yeah.
So now looking at it as an older, wiser person, I know why, but then obviously, I think what it was I didn't feel I was progressing enough as an in-ring, as a singles wrestler.
Right.
I'd been put in a few tag matches, which were good tag matches, but I felt like I think I'd ran my course, or I think I wasn't putting anything new in to the Halestorm gimmick.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, NGW was expanding massively. They had shows all over the country.
Mm-hmm.
And the caliber of wrestlers you had coming in on the main events were like international wrestlers. You know,
right, yeah, so, I remember. Yeah, when they started to get Atlas and stuff, was he called? And
you had some amazing guys,
some big guys, right? When NGW started to sell out the city hall and that kind of thing, like which I remember well. Yeah.
And for me, it was just I think it was an ego thing for myself, that the frustration that I'm not progressing. But staying out, the proving ground shows were still amazing to go on. But in my head, it was like maybe I thought I needed more, or should have been getting more bookings. But when you've got people on the show that are like, have had like 10, 15 years experience, you're not going to push them off the card. But then I started getting bookings as a referee, and like we said earlier, I enjoyed refereeing, but at that time I preferred to be an in-ring wrestler. And it got to the point where some of the big NGW shows, I was booked as the ref.
Yeah.
And I had some amazing, well, not matches, but I refed some amazing main event matches. I remember doing the one between El Ligero and Dara Diablo, and that was just amazing to be in that match. I think it was half an hour long.
And that sounds familiar to what even like FTR had in AEW recently. You know, like two people who had been a tag team for so long, and now all of a sudden.
Yeah. And to be a ref for that match, it was amazing because there was so much storyline going on, and like people don't remember the referee, but you are a cog in the wheel.
Sure.
You're important, but I think looking back, I didn't appreciate the opportunity of, Halestorm was still getting bookings, but as Rich Hale, the referee, I could have probably got more bookings. I got bookings in other companies as the referee.
Right.
A few all-star shows as a referee. But like I say, looking back, I didn't take that opportunity. I wanted to be a wrestler, and I felt there was so much talent coming in NGW that I wasn't going to get a look in. So I decided it was. I think at that point I was happy with what I've done. You know, I had one main event match with Mark Haskins once in a little seaside town called Withensea. I got booked to have the main event. He was a title holder, and for me that was like, wow. It was like getting on the shows is one thing, but now you have a title shot against a guy that I'd watched on TV a few weeks ago on TNA. I'm like, Jesus, man.
Yeah.
So I was like,
he was on TNA. Oh God, how could I forget that? Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh man, I'm in the ring against him now. And I was a bit nervous when I first met him, and he was just, for his standard, the match wasn't obviously a high standard for what he could do, but he catered for my abilities, which I thought was really good of him. I think we had a 30-minute, maybe 20-minute, 30-minute match in front of that small crowd, but it was when you're in the ring against an actual professional,
right,
someone of that caliber, you realise, wow, this is wrestling. It was physically hard, mentally hard, but enjoyable at the same time.
Yeah.
For me, after that match, I think my ego, I was like, well, I'm good enough to have more matches like that. I think it was because the other face didn't turn up. Yeah, I really enjoyed that high point of wrestling. And then after that, I seemed to get I think it's because I was actually quite competent as a referee. And in NGW back then, there was a guy called Milky who had just retired from refereeing.
Milky, yeah, I remember Milky.
Yeah, and then he was an amazing ref.
Yeah.
And then you had other refs like Jimmy T and AJB.
Yeah. So many name drops on this episode. I love it. It's taking me back.
I think that's why I ended up
giving me a smile. Yeah.
I felt I wasn't progressing as a singles wrestler, and I think maybe I should have done more, in my performance, or like looked at myself better. But I just had that attitude that like I should be getting more bookings, and I wasn't. When really I should have just carried on where I was, because I'm sure the bookings would have come.
Sure.
It was. I think it was at the right time as well, because there was a lot of fresh faces coming in, a really high amount of talent coming in.
Yeah.
And when you're not at the same level as them, you can't really complain.
Right.
Yeah.
So last question, before we get to our trivia. So the last question about the present, and around the time that you left and you stepped back completely, is there anybody that was on your dream match list? So this could be people who was attainable at the time and people who just weren't, right? You could have a list, you could have a bucket list, and then you can just maybe have people who you may have been able to face. So Ricky, who was on your dream match list for you? Who would have been for you, like that you never got to wrestle? Who was like, wow. Yeah.
Within NGW, it would have been the head trainer El Ligero.
Okay.
I had plenty of matches with him as tag matches, like 6-man and 8-man tags.
Yeah.
But to actually work in the ring against him, that would have been a dream thing. To like to know to go up against your trainer.
Sure. Yeah, that's like that could have been a whole storyline actually.
Yeah.
Maybe a different timeline, different universe. Who knows?
It was also again, he was Rampage Brown. I never actually had to do any. I never had the opportunity to do any in-ring stuff with him, which I had a bit of regret, because he's one of them wrestlers that you just look at him and he's 100% brutal.
A 100% beast, right? And he was in NXT UK, yeah, absolute beast. Yeah.
I saw some of his matches. He's just an absolute unit, and I was like, unfortunately, when he was around in NGW, he was obviously higher end of the card, so I never had the chance to have a match against him, which would have been good. And then
how about outside? Yeah, outside of NGW, how about like WWE? And it can be past or present guys, or people who are coming up to.
I remember I used to watch a lot of TNA back then, so it would have been AJ Styles.
Right. Yeah. Still making waves today. Still, the longevity of that guy, man, it's incredible. Yeah.
I think him.
So Ricky Halestorm versus AJ Styles, nice. I like the sound of that actually. Yeah.
I think he'd have been up there. Eddie Guerrero, obviously he's not with us, but that would have been a dream match, I think, for anyone really.
For anyone that I've talked to would probably agree with you. Yes. Yeah.
I think that I always used to think of if I could wrestle anyone, it would have to be someone that's believable. So I wouldn't like, I want to wrestle the Undertaker because he's like twice as big as me, so it'd never be entertaining. No.
It'd be a 30-second match, yeah, that's it.
I think I just tap out on his entrance. I'm like, I'm done. That's fine.
Hey, nice. Thanks for dropping the name of the pod. It's tapping out.
That's getting me in those submission. I'm just like on the floor tapping out. It's okay. I'm too scared. Yeah. I used to think of it like that as like, again, looking at like your height, size, like what if you could wrestle anyone? It'd be people like as well, like Bret Hart. That would be just an amazing lesson in the ring.
Yeah,
you could have a match with someone like that. And then, I think that's about it, really. Yeah.
Nice one, man. Good stuff, buddy. Okay, so it's trivia time. Yeah. Before we look to the future, which for you is probably an interesting thing again, but I've got some good questions for that, for when we get to the future and where your mindset is now. But it's trivia time. Are you ready?
Yep.
All right, good stuff. Okay, the trivia quiz I found for this podcast, courtesy of Sporkle.com. I'm not sponsored by him, but courtesy of Sporkle.com. And I found a WrestleMania main event participant quiz. Okay, so
yep.
I'm going to give you between, let's say between 7 and 10 WrestleManias, yeah?
Yeah.
And there's been obviously 38. And some of them have 2 nights. So there's a lot to go through. I'll give you between 7 and 10. And we'll see if you can guess either 1, 2, or up to 3 of the main event stars, yeah? How's that sound?
Cool, yeah.
All right, okay, let's start with one that we kind of talked about earlier. All right, so the first one, who were the main event participants of WrestleMania 28?
I always remember the years, and everything. That was Rock and Cena, wasn't it?
Correct. Ding ding. All right, keep a count, yeah, for yourself. So you're 1 for 1, yeah? Good stuff. All right.
Yeah.
Nice one. Okay, next one. Let's go back a little bit, yeah? Let's go back a little bit. Next one. WrestleMania. Okay, who were the main event participants of WrestleMania 25? If you can name one of the 2, you get half a point. If you name both of them, you get 1 point.
Oh, that was 25. Was that Taker and? Oh man, was it? I don't know if it's Taker and Triple H or Taker and Shawn Michaels.
Triple H was in it, so that's half a point.
Oh!
Can you name his opponent? Last chance for a point.
Oh no, it's gone.
Ah, okay. Half a point. So you're 1.5 for 2.
1.5.
It was WrestleMania 25 was Triple H and Randy Orton.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's so easy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was my next word. Yeah.
All right, mate. Next one. Let's come into the present a little bit more. All right. Next one. WrestleMania 33. Who were the 2 main event participants?
Let's see. That was the lock. Oh, the lock. Lockdown. Was that
5 years ago? Yeah.
Goldberg, was it Goldberg and Rock?
No, Goldberg and Rock. They never did have a fight.
Goldberg. No, Goldberg and Brock Lesnar.
No. Incorrect. Completely. Unfortunately, you're 1.5 for 3. Okay.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it's 33 was Roman Reigns versus Taker.
That was going to be my next answer.
Of course it was. Of course it was. Yeah. All right. Oh God. Okay, let's go back. Let's go back again. All right, here we go. Okay, you've got 3 people for this one.
Oh.
So for each one, you get a third of a point. 3.33. And currently, you're 1.5 for 3. All right, so WrestleMania 20. XX.
You said it was a triple threat.
Yes, I believe of some kind. Yes, yeah, triple threat. 3 people in the main event.
So it was
20. Yeah, so you've got 28, and then 25 and 20.
Was that okay? I know 2 of them. I think it was Triple H, Shawn Michaels, and one other.
Oh, if you get the last one, then you get 1 point. Yeah.
Chris Benoit.
Hey, nice. Well done. Oh, woo. Yeah, 2.5 for 4. Nice one, mate. Well done. Whew. That feels good, right? Okay, good stuff. All right, one more time, we'll come into the present and then we'll go back once more, okay? So let's come into the present day. All right, kind of a few years ago. All right, so 2 people, yeah? 2 people. Now, this WrestleMania had 2 nights. So I'm going to say who were the 2 main event participants of WrestleMania 36 Night 2?
Was 36 last year?
36 was 2 years ago when lockdown began. So there's a clue. When when COVID really started, 2020.
Night 2.
Uh-huh.
Oh, see, I watched all the WrestleMania as one sitting.
Right. Okay. So who was at the end? Yeah, who was at the end?
I can't remember.
You're 2.5 for 4 at the moment. Oh, okay.
It was Drew McIntyre and Brock Lesnar.
Hey, very good.
Yes.
3.5 for 5. Man, give yourself a high five there. Good stuff. All right, man. So 3.5 for 5 so far. So if you get the next one, then you're over 50%. You're a passing grade, yeah? All right, so if you do well on this last one, yeah. All right, mate, last one. 3.5 for 5 so far. So last one. 2 people. WrestleMania 22. Who were the 2 main event participants?
Was that one up? Yeah. Okay, so that was like
WrestleMania 22. 3.5 for 5 so far.
John Cena was 1.
Okay, that's 0.5 of a point, and
yes, I'll take the 0.5.
take the 0.5. I want to help you out, but okay. he was doing a lot of stuff, man. He was main eventing a lot of stuff at the time.
Oh yeah, Triple H. He was like Mr.
There you go. That's too much. That's too much. Yeah, nice one, man. 4.5 for 6. What's that? That's like 65%. Nice one.
Yep.
Good stuff, man. Nice one, man. I enjoyed that, man. Like, this Sparkle is full of great quizzes. I think I'm sorted, honestly, for all of my trivia so far into the future. Nice one, man. You did well. Good stuff. Okay. You're welcome. All right. So look into the future then. Ricky Halestorm, look into the future. What's next for you as far as pro wrestling goes?
I'm waiting for a phone call for the Hall of Fame for NGW.
Luke, Rich, get on it. Yeah, get on it.
I keep giving them I don't think they do a Hall of Fame. No,
yeah.
For me, I probably would not get back into the ring anymore now. For a few years, I had that bug to get back. I was still in a really good shape. I remember at the NGW 10th anniversary show, I lived quite far away from Hull, but I was like, I'm going to go and watch it. And then I sent the booker, Rich Dunn, a message, said, any chance of me being on the show? And he said, yep, we've got a Rumble. Like, sweet.
Yeah.
So that was my last in-ring on the 10th anniversary show. Like, just had a spot in the Rumble.
Yeah.
And for me, it was just good. I don't know how to phrase it. It was just good to lay that.
So that was kind of like your comeback moment, yeah, almost in a way, yeah, like
almost,
kind of like your kind of like your good father moment, when he came back, or Edge, even though Edge would do so well after that point, but yeah,
and I got eliminated by like Cyanide. I just felt happy that I've done, I had another crack at the whip, so to speak. But I look back at, I know I might sound like a bit bitter in this interview, but I always look back at wrestling as like that window of opportunity to have learned so much, met so many people. If I'd not been wrestling for 10 years, what would I, I just found that point in my life. I said it's like anyone who's done wrestling and left it, it's like no one wants to see an old guy who can't move around the ring trying to do one last match. And I think time I had at NGW and the few rare opportunities at other places I had, I do look back at them fondly. Like, I always think I actually became a wrestler for that part, for a small part of my life. I've still got my ring gear hidden somewhere in the house because I have that one. Because I have that one.
Hey man, if this had been a video podcast, would you have worn it? Oh no.
No.
Okay.
It's shrunk. A funny thing happened when you stop wrestling. Your ring attire shrinks. I don't know.
Oh really?
Phenomenon.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like you start going to McDonald's a bit more, and then all of a sudden it shrinks. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Weird, right?
Yeah, I probably wouldn't get back in. I enjoyed what I did at the time, and I managed to get myself on main event at the Proving Ground shows. Won a few trophies as a academy wrestler.
Yeah.
I had a good feud with Kaz Crash.
Yeah.
And he went on to become part of the Proven, which was a good thing. I always look back and think, you always like to change.
The Proven was a great team. Yeah. Now I think about it, they did some good stuff. They kind of remind the Proven remind me of like Red Dragon from AEW, right? Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly. You got yeah. It's fairly cool.
Yeah. So yeah, I enjoyed what I did, and I wouldn't look back and think I want to do it again, because I think to do it again, I think I'd be just cheating myself. Like, you're not in the same condition that I used to be in. I've not been around wrestling for long, so I think I'd be cheating, like coming in and having a match when there's guys that have trained for years, and it's like, oh, this old guy's just coming in the ring. Who's he? He can't even move. Look at him. He's got a bad back. What's he doing? His knees are clicking. He can't even move. What's he on about?
My knees click. My knees click every day. I did wrestling training for a while, and my knees still click.
And his click when I just look at him.
Oh mate,
yeah, I had some laughs.
Yeah,
I made some real good friends. I had some real fun times in and out the ring, and we had some good banter.
Yeah.
I found recently on Facebook a photograph of remember when me and Dougie went to I think we went to Hornsey or Withensea to watch
Hornsey, and we were putting up the posters, yeah.
Yeah,
the fish and chip shop. Oh, the laundrette. Yeah. The laundrette it was, wasn't it? The Hornsey laundrette. Oh my god.
Yeah. And then there was a wrestling show on that day, so we went to watch it. Some promotion we'd not heard of, and for a rib, they said, you guys told me to get in the ring at the end of the show and get my photograph with the wrestlers. Yeah. And so I took my top off and I took a picture, and I think you or Dougie.
I remember that too. Yeah, I remember that too. Like it was yesterday. Like it was yesterday. Like, oh.
Told the rest of the boys back at NGW that I had a booking somewhere else. So they were like, "Did you?" Oh yeah, it was amazing. It was main event. It was brilliant.
Mate, we had some good times on the road. I could probably get you back another time to talk about those. Man, we had some good stories on the road. Just like postering, yeah. For those who don't know, for maybe my younger listeners, there's such a thing as called postering that people used to do to advertise wrestling shows.
Knocking on doors at shops that you've never been to and asking if they could put up a poster, and you'd always get asked the same question: can I get free tickets? Yeah. And I'd be like, no, I'm not getting free tickets. I'm putting up your posters, so you're not getting free tickets.
And I would love the ones. I think I had a few sometimes, and I would go in and I would say, "Yeah, can we put a poster in the window?" And they'd be like, "Yeah, it's fine. Just leave it on the counter there." And then as I was walking out, they put it in the bin. I'm like, we can have it back. No, it's fine. I'm like, okay. Hey man, Dougie kept us in check with all that. I'd love to delve into that a bit further with him.
Yeah, he's amazing. Dougie was super fan Dougie.
Yeah.
When I first started at NGW, I thought he was part of the show itself.
Yeah. You thought he was like part of the script, yeah, almost.
Yeah, I thought he was staged. Yeah.
No.
A lot of people said that about him. They used to think he was part of the script, but no, he was just a guy who was really fanatical about wrestling.
Yeah, man. Well, when we start sharing this around, I'll share it to Twitter. I don't think Doug is on Twitter, but if you wouldn't mind doing the same and share it to Facebook and whatnot or Instagram, then yeah, hopefully he sees it, and then you would know, Dougie. I don't know why I'm looking at the camera; it's audio, but yeah, hopefully, Dougie, man, I'd love to get him on. It'd be great. It'd be great actually if I could just like kind of have it, and then he's showing me around his if it's the video podcast. Show me around his loft, which I'm sure he still has. Right. I'm sure he still has. And I've been there a few times. It's great. I mean, it's every wrestling fan's dream. Yeah. All right, buddy. Good stuff, man. Hey, just before we round this up, and I think honestly, I was going to ask this question, but I think you've already summed it up quite well. But if you wouldn't mind just one more time, just saying, what are you, and you can say this in as little or as much as you like right now, what are you most grateful for when it came to your wrestling career?
Yeah. Oh, she just stepped in the room. It was meeting my wife. I wasn't gonna.
There you go. Oh,
perfect.
perfect.
What I was going to say. That was totally what I was going to say. Yeah. No, it was on the tip of my tongue. Honestly, it was on the tip of my tongue. Yeah. Perfect timing to come upstairs. Yeah, she walked past it. Yeah, it was. Yeah, I met my wife.
There you go.
So that was totally going to be my answer. That was totally going to be my answer as well.
I think we can leave it there. I was going to say, I think we can leave it there. Oh, sorry, but carry on. Okay, I was going to say that's perfect.
The best moment was I managed to propose to her in the ring.
Yes, I was there. Yeah, I remember. I'm sure there's a video somewhere of it too. Yeah.
Yeah. So it wasn't during the show. We did it after the show. So then it was.
It was just the cleanup crew. Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't want to shine over the show. But yeah, I proposed to her in the wrestling ring.
Yeah.
Which I don't think anyone at NGW has done since, because they've seen sense.
Good stuff, man. Well, there you go. I think that's a great place to leave it.
Yeah, cool, mate. Yeah.
Awesome, man. So one more time. I mean, that's it. We've come to a conclusion. This has been fantastic, and it's been great to catch up with yourself. I mean, honestly, this is probably the first time we've done a video call of any kind for over, good Lord, probably over like 7 years since we've done a video call. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Hey, man, time flies, eh? But now, mate, the floor is yours. One more time. Let us all know where we can find you on social media if you have, for when you have wrestling views to share or that kind of thing. I would say about bookings, but obviously we know you're not doing that anymore. But yeah, where can we find you on social media if you want to connect with yourself? Just talk about wrestling, man, because you're full of knowledge and it's been great to chat with you. But the floor is yours.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a dinosaur when it comes to tech. So I just use Facebook. I just use Facebook. I just find it as an easy go-to platform.
Yeah.
I'd say wrestling is good once you get into it. You have to have the right mindset to want to do it.
Yeah.
And for guys that are aspiring to become wrestlers, you're not going to be a main event wrestler after your first week.
Right.
Some guys work years for it, and if you're not main event, it's not a big thing. Just get in there, just entertain the crowd. Have fun. I used to say, have fun and stay safe. And if you can have fun in the ring and stay safe, then you're a winner.
Wasn't that your motto? I think as a ref, I remember. We've got in UFC. In UFC, we've got Mark Goddard, and he says, "God bless." I feel like did you not used to say that before your matches as a ref? Have fun and stay safe. Maybe I don't know. Yeah. If not, that's what I remember. Yeah.
I used to. I used to backstage if I knew which matches I was refereeing. I'd always just have like a meeting with the guys just to know what they're doing, and just so they know what I'm doing. So you're working as a team, even though there's two of you, or maybe a tag team. The referee is part of that team. I used to say have fun and stay safe. There's no point wrestling, and no one wants to get hurt in the ring. And
sure.
That was my motto actually. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's it's weird that I remember it. I'm like, oh, maybe that was yours. Okay, yeah. But good stuff, man. How about like for social media links? So you say you use Facebook. Is that for like public or is that just for yourself? Because you don't have to share it. But yeah.
No, it's just myself. I used to have a Facebook account for my gimmick. But obviously I've stopped using that now. So it's just my personal one I use.
All right, man.
So I don't know. Bit of a loner when it comes to social media.
Have you got any more? Have you got any more? Have you got any more merch to sell? Or not? Is it all gone?
That's all gone.
All right, man. Well,
the VIP shirts, yeah.
Well, that's it then. I think. I mean, thank you very much for your time, Ricky. Or should I say, Rich Hale? Yeah. Yep. Thank you very much, man. It's been a pleasure. Yeah, it's been great to reconnect with you for this.
Cool, mate. Yeah, it's been a pleasure, mate.
All right, man. Look after yourself, man. All the best for the rest of 2022 and beyond. Thank you, man. Thank you very much, friend.
And you, mate. Stay safe. Have fun.
And not just thank you, of course, to Ricky Halestorm. Thank you to all of you as well. If you liked what you saw today, or should I say, if you liked what you heard, then be sure to leave a like, subscribe, comment, and ring-a-ding the notification bell as well. Thanks very much for listening today, and I'll see you all on the next episode of the Tapping Out podcast. Thanks very much, and bye-bye.